Thanks for doing this with me. I think you know that I want to do this Becoming series. I want to help a lot of people in the profession, especially in UX research, to uncover their career path, and everyone have their own career path. And so I want to thank you for your time, because your career path is very interesting. I think it's worthwhile to share, and hopefully it could be an inspiration to fellow UX researchers. Maybe one day you'll work with them.
Yeah, I do hope so too. Yes.
How would you differentiate the two between a market research and a UX research?
Mainly the nature of product and services that we handle, like the subject of the research itself. So with market research, it's pretty much conventional products and services, and by that I mean physical products. So for example, phones and RTDs, ready-to-drink beverages that you would see on mini marts or supermarkets, up to financial products, like insurance and stuff like that. So that's market research. With UX research, the product that you handle and that you research upon are digital products. So for example, an app, like the entirety of an app, within that app you would have features, or within that app you would have sub features, within that app you would have like multiple journeys, right? So for example, if an app is an e-commerce app, then probably the main end-to-end journey is for you to purchase something. So we could look into that. And the products in UX research are not tangible, obviously, because it's digital. Yeah.
So knowing that, and considering that you've always had a background in market research, but then eventually you decided consciously to make that change into product research, were there any obstacles that you had to face within that transition to be where you are now?
Yeah. So many obstacles, so many challenges, especially when I just joined Happy Fresh. It's a whole totally different world. So I came from like a conventional corporate world, where basically I was an executor, right? I was an executor. I would be told, hey, Dita, we have this project, go do it. That's what I did. When I joined Happy Fresh, I was expected to be the initiator and not the executor, and that freaked me out, because one, I had never had an experience being a leader, an initiator of things. So it took me quite a while to change that mindset of being an executor or followers of orders to become one who actually initiate things and give instructions to people. That was my biggest challenge.
I want to ask you, especially for those that perhaps are in a similar situation like you, where they're transitioning and they realize that, oh man, I need to start initiating now. I don't have that experience. What's your advice? How do you become an initiator besides perhaps time?
I think, well, in Happy Fresh in particular, once people knew what I was capable of, which is, conducting like a proper research processes, something that they never had before I came there. A lot of people from many departments came to me. So, for example, like the country manager of Indonesia came to me, and marketing people came to me, growth team came to me, even operational team came to me. And basically all of them, if I were to take one common thing of their request, is that we're trying to understand humans behind this issue, right? So for example, Oh, with ops, they want to understand why there have been such a high turnover for the drivers, for the shoppers and drivers in Thailand, for example. For marketing or growth team, they don't understand why their marketing campaigns didn't have like a better performance, right? So it all comes down to understanding humans, understanding our end users, and why our campaigns, our efforts to retain all of this were not working. And so I had that feeling, oh, you know what, if that is the root cause, if that is the main issue, I can actually understand humans, because that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. So I always told my stakeholders, hey, you know what? I'm new to this thing, right? I'm new to startup to the startup world. I'm new to this particular industry. Happy Fresh is a online groceries delivery service, right? I'm new to this industry. I don't know much about this industry, but I do know a thing or two about understanding humans. Right. So that's what I would do. That's what I told them. That's what I would do. I would go talk to our users, try to understand where their pain points with us are, and then I would report back to you. My suggestion is, do not be afraid to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do things perfectly the first time. It's okay if you don't get it, 100% the first time, because you will get a chance to do over, and the next time you do the same thing. Make sure you learn from your mistakes, right? So that's one, and two is this is again, this is from my personal experience. I am a very solitary person by nature, and so when I am given a job, I think that it is 100% my responsibility to see this job through. And what that translates is, I rarely involved, or I rarely go to someone else to get help for my work. You know what I mean? And that's a mistake. That's a mistake, because you will need other people in your life, and that's also true for your work. So don't be afraid to come up to your colleagues, your partners, or your managers or whatever, and show some vulnerability. Hey, I'm struggling with this, right? I'm struggling with this. I've tried my best to do this task, but I don't think I got it. Can you give me advice? So do that. So rely on, have faith and rely on other people around you. My role at Google, right? They never had that role before. They never hired an Indonesian UX researcher, because Indonesia has never been a prominent market for Google, right? But my team, the team that I was working for, they decided, oh, you know what? We should get a hold of Southeast Asia region, and Indonesia being the biggest country in Southeast Asia, it makes sense if we do studies there. So we would need an Indonesian UX researcher, right? So they put the job role, the what you call it, the job posting on LinkedIn, and I applied via LinkedIn. This is what everyone asked me. How did you get a job in Singapore? In Google, no less. And I was like, via LinkedIn? I applied on LinkedIn. I applied on LinkedIn because it was posted there. And to be completely honest with you, Abed, I wasn't going to apply. Because I was afraid, like all of the old insecurities, lack of self-confidence, thinking that I'm not good enough for anything. It all came back when I saw that job post. But then by the grace of God, he kind of put courage within me, and so I was thinking, come on, Dita, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Nothing. So if you applied and you failed, okay, there are still other jobs that you can apply to, right? So I was like, okay, let's try this. So I applied, and long story short, here I am.
How have researchers adapted to the challenges of 2020?
For me personally, one of the biggest adjustment that researchers had to do is the ability to meet our users face to face and enjoy the interview the old normal way. Yeah.
That human connection gets weaker when it's not face to face.
Yeah, because there's a lot of loss in translation. There's a lot of nuances and small body gestures, or like small facial expressions that you miss.
Correct.
When you're not in the same room as the user, Agreed. Yeah.
And I'm in a very similar line of work like you, where I have to meet people. When you don't, sometimes you lose, like you said, it's lost in translation sometimes.
Yes.
Do you have any books or website that you recommend for anything related to UX?
I would say LinkedIn and Medium.com are very good places to start with. In LinkedIn, you would find like communities of UX researchers. Like for example, I'm joined in in a group called UX SEA, UX Southeast Asia. So basically, it's a community of UX designers and UX researchers, UX writers, UX strategists, all UX jobs, all people who have UX jobs, you can find there. And they would have, like, for example, webinars, right? They would have sharing sessions. They would have book clubs, right? Where you can see like the latest books or titles or whatever. So that's only one example. So start with LinkedIn and Medium.com, because in Medium.com is like a marketplace, but for many other websites, right? So like for example, like UXR Collective, UXR Medium, or something like that. Just many. Just find, do a search in Medium.com and subscribe to whatever websites or articles or writers or UX researchers or UX designers that are actively writing articles there, right? For books, I would say it depends on what kind of UX researchers you want to be, because there is a kind of specialization within UX researcher itself. So you can be, for example, a quantitative UX researcher. So if you want to be a quantitative UX researcher, you can read, Quantifying the User Experience by Jeff Sauro and James R. Lewis, right? So there's that. If you are like a newbie in the world of UX research and you just want to collect a basic foundation of UX research, you can always read, for example, the one that I read is The Handbook of Global User Research by Robert Schumacher, right?
Very good. Dita, thank you for your time. It was a very fun chat session. Thank you for opening up as well to me. There were a lot of things that I didn't know about you, because I've interviewed you before, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. I hope this is useful for those watching as well.
Yes.
Let's do this again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Abed. And I, like you, I also hope that this could be useful for someone out there who might be interested in getting a job in UX research.